Got here at 22 Silverado Trail Boss. It's a new to me truck. I just picked it up recently. It's super nice. I really like it. It's the newest vehicle I've owned in a very, very long time. And I like the Trail Boss, particularly the package, because you get all the blackout trim. So you get, especially with this, with the dark red, you got black bumpers, black wheels, black handles, the black mirrors. So all gloss black, right? So it really pops. The color combo really pops. And for some reason, they still put the logos in chrome, the emblems. The front bow tie on the grill is black, but like the Silverado logos, it's a Z71 package, so it's got the big Z71, and it's got a 6.2 in it, which is nice. It has some 6.2 liter badging on the hood, which I actually think was probably added on. I don't know if it comes that way from the factory. Maybe the previous owner put it on, also in chrome. So I don't know why they don't black it out, but they didn't. And so I'm gonna black it out today. I'm gonna show you how with a product called HyperDip from dipyourcar.com. I'll put a link down below for their website. It's a removable, peelable paint film that you can paint on and you can peel off if you don't like it. The HyperDip versus the old Plastidip, maybe if you've ever done this before, heard of this before, you maybe heard of Plastidip. That's a flat, textured stuff. HyperDip's a little different. I'm going to show you how this works. And you can save yourself a little money on buying new emblems or buying the $600 or $800, whatever the package is from the factory, to black out the logos. All right, I'm gonna start here, mostly because this is the most complicated one and I wanted to talk about this particular emblem. I did the other side already and was experimenting with different options. Again, the nice thing about this film, this paint, is you can peel it back off. So I did a version of it, didn't like the way it looked, peeled it off, did another version, then, you're right, and you just kind of keep trying different things so I get what I like. Specifically, what I was trying to do was keep the red insert here and just black out the chrome. And I actually tried to see, like, can I keep the chrome knurling here? That looked dumb. If you're gonna get rid of chrome, get rid of chrome. I was trying to tape this off, was really hard. I couldn't get the paint, the tape to stick real good. I did the same thing on the red. Let's do all black with the red. I thought that would look really nice. And it did in the vacuum, but the red on red, the different colors of red, it really makes the red stand out more. And it looks weird with the dark red. So I decided to go ahead and all black. Also, when you'll see this when we do this, when you Plastidip or when you HyperDip these, you're going to paint over the whole thing. You're going to paint onto the vehicle itself, and then because these emblems don't sit dead flush, like they're not sealed to the paint, there's a little small gap in there. This stuff is thin enough that as you peel it off, it's going to break off at the logo, and so then it'll stay in the logo but peel off the truck. In these corners, that's not true. These are much more flush. And so when I try to tape this off, and even where it's not, it is a two-piece logo. There is a little bit of a ridge there. So trying to tape this off, the tape takes up the space. So now it is much more flush, and it doesn't, when you peel the tape off, it peels all the material off the edges of the chrome. So that didn't work. So then I tried, well, don't tape it, just let it do that, which was okay, but it was really hard to get the black off of the red, and I couldn't really get it all the way off. Like, it just was trying to get it out of these notches without peeling the rest of it. So I ended up just taping this off and just doing it all black. So that's what I'm gonna do. Start by giving it a good clean. I just got some waterless wash from, this is from Adam's Polishes. You don't have to use this. I just happen to have this, I have like a gallon of this stuff, so I figured I'd use that. You can use whatever, soap and water, just get it good and clean. You don't want to have a bunch of chemical material like wax or whatever on here. It'll make it difficult for that paint to stick. So what I'm trying to do though is clean everything real good, so because there's no debris or dust or water spots or whatever else on there. And then I'll come back over here with alcohol and clean all this off. By spraying this or a detail spray or something like that on the truck, it does give a little bit of a film on the truck, and it makes that dip material a little easier to peel off the paint, which is a good thing. So that's good and clean. It was a pretty clean truck to begin with. It wasn't that dirty, but now I'll come back over with a towel and some alcohol and clean all this material, this kind of chemical, off of this, and then we'll get to taping. When you buy one of these cans of HyperDip, they do give you a little wipe, an alcohol wipe. The problem is, for me, I already used it and now it's all dried up. So I'm just going to use a paper towel with some alcohol, some rubbing alcohol on it. Just clean all this off. You can use a couple different things. If you've got a wax and grease remover, like if you do any kind of paint work, which I do, but this is faster because it's right here. It's also cheaper. That will work too. So I'm just cleaning up the actual emblem. I don't want to get too much on the car. Although I am going to, you know, this was a dealer detail, so I probably will redetail this and get a good coat of, get a good polish on it and get a good coat of some hard wax. All right. Put that there. Now we'll tape off. Mostly this is just to protect with a little bit of overspray. The overspray isn't a huge deal. I'll show you actually, because I'll probably get some on the truck. It just kind of rubs right off. It's the whole kind of the cool thing about this. So I just do a pretty wide. If you have wider tape, that would be better. I didn't have any. I just have this like whatever inch wide stuff here. If you got anything else like craft paper or whatever, that'll work too. I had some plastic that was on a roll with taped, with a taped edge, which is pretty handy, but ran out. So I'll just go back to regular tape. And I just do about 4 pieces wide here. If you're worried about overspray, one of the things you can do, and I kind of wonder now, well, I'll probably do that on one of the other emblems. You can start wider because this will peel. So, and to some degree, the more border you have on that's actually on the vehicle, the easier it is to peel. The stuff will break really easy. It doesn't. Once you start peeling it, it does stretch quite a bit, and it'll snap off. So the smaller your run is, you'll see when we get to it. Like when we're trying to peel what's going to be inside this little ridge here, inside the long tail of the Z. That's going to be really hard to peel because it's just going to keep breaking off. Whereas around here, it's going to be really easy to peel because it's going to be nice and thick. So, giving yourself a wide tape area can be actually more beneficial. Which means then when you do your 4 strips of tape, that's way out here, and maybe a lot less overspray. This is stuff I'm talking about. This HyperDip from Dip Your Car. We've been using, those of us that I've been doing this for a long time. I've done a number of emblems. I've done whole sets of wheels. I did grill with Plastidip. It worked great. The Plastidip is a little flatter. It's a little more textured. You can clearly tell it's a coating. It's not a factory look. This is, with this HyperDip, they get a little more glossy. They make a satin version of it. This one is a gloss black. I forget the actual name of the color. Piano black, yep. So that'll get a little more closely matching things like the mirrors and all that with the gloss. So let's give it a quick, make sure we get decent spray, okay. Now I'm just gonna give a dust coat, just one quick, that's it. Just a quick dusting. Wait about 5 minutes for that to flash. I'll give it another quick dusting. Do another 5 minutes, and then we'll start putting on wetter coats, and we'll do about 6 coats of the full coating, about 15-20 minutes apart, and then we'll get to peeling. So we'll let this flash. Waiting on that, I might as well just continue to go get the other ones prepped, and we'll just kind of make a cycle around, and we can all do this pretty quickly. We're gonna do another quick flash coat here. That's all. Another quick dusting. I got a dusting up on the 6.2 emblem up there, and then we're going to move to the back while this is flashing up and do those back there. Something I said earlier, you want to have the more material you have, the easier it is to peel. That's true. And you might be thinking, well, why are you getting so close now? Well, I only have one can. And so it does seem inefficient, of course, to spray way out here and then throw that all away. And the stuff isn't super expensive, but it isn't super cheap either. I think it's $15, $17 a can or something like that. It is available on Amazon in some forms, like larger kits, like a wheel kit. You do your wheels, and so it comes with like 4 cans. That's something, you know, you can get the kits if you want. They don't have quite the selection on Amazon as they do right on their website. So if you want certain colors, or if you want, like in this case, I think I could get it on Amazon. I could get a can of the satin black, but not the gloss black. And I wanted the glossy black. Now this isn't going to be high gloss, like a clear coat type finish, but it'll be still glossy enough. Just like before, just a quick dust. All right, let's move over to the Silverado emblem. When you got these big curves, sometimes if your peel point is right at a curve, it can be a little bit difficult. At least it is for me. It wants to break off right at that bend, so it kind of defeats the purpose. That was not long enough. You know, if you're trying to peel up and then right here that what you're peeling is gonna snap off anyway, then you really have just wasted all that. That's a lot of tape. It does use a lot of tape. Like I said, if you have some plastic you want to use or craft paper, butcher paper works pretty well because it's, you know, designed to hold in fluids from beef and other meats and stuff, so it'll hold up to this kind of paint. Newspaper I find doesn't work real great. It wants to soak right through that. Also, newspaper is kind of messy. The other thing this stuff will do is it does provide a little bit of protection, very much like a wrap. So it can protect from oxidizing and UV, PP, what do they call it? PPG, PPL, something coating. You know, if you put this on and then later you decide you want to take it back off, or you don't want to sell the vehicle and return it back to stock, it peels right off and everything will look exactly like it looked before you started. Okay, everything's dusted. Now I'm gonna go back to the front and hit those with a heavier coat. All right, I got my 2 skim coats. I'm gonna call it. I'm dusting. So now I'm gonna give it a little bit, not super heavy. Like I don't want to get any drip. See how when I sprayed this here, just to make sure the sprayer was working all right, it drips a little bit. I don't want that. So those are hard to get out. I just want a nice even coat. Now, these have a bunch of different sides and angles. So every coat I do, I'm going to come at a little bit different angle. So that one was kind of straight on. The next one I'll probably go, you know, with an upward angle. That would be a downward angle. Then an upward angle, and then this side, kind of focusing the coverage into all those little spaces because it is kind of hard to get in there. That's why you need a lot of coats. For one, also because you need a buildup to make it easily peelable. Like this out here where it's kind of dusted. That's not going to peel real easy. I'll make sure I get a nice coating on this. So now that one I want to wait about 15 minutes or so. And that will then give it a good time to set. Each coat you put back on re-wets the whole thing. It kind of dissolves and re-wets and blends together. But we don't want to get any, that'll keep us from getting any runs. If I put too much material on now, the material is kind of heavy and it will run. It runs really easy, so we want to just be real mindful of that. We're going to get a nice even coat, and then we'll just keep piling up coats on top till we get the look we're looking for. The second coat on, this one I'm going to go kind of like an angle. I'm going to try to follow the lines of these tight angles to make sure I can get inside there. I'll hit this one again up here. And we'll go around the back and do those 2 back there, but let's keep making a cycle. So I can see it probably won't show up on camera. We have to get real close, but there's a little bit of red in the corner there, and some here, and then in between the letters, I can see the paint, the truck paint through the red. I want to get that covered up, otherwise that's not going to peel very well. So really, even though, like, well, I don't care so much about that, I'm not painting that. I am, so that I can get that solid film. So But it's still, you'd be tempted to nose in, and then you're going to get these runs. So you really are just going to get it by virtue of coat after coat after coat. So don't get too concerned about it. If it takes a 7th, 8th, 9th coat, so be it, right? Like it's better that it looks nice and smooth than you actually get a big glob. Speaking of globs, the other thing I forgot to mention before, this is relatively thick. Now this is thinner than HyperDip, this HyperDip, but still it's relatively thick material, and it will clog and spit in this nozzle. So if you spray too long at one time, you will get these spurts. So you want to make sure you don't spray for long periods of time, and clean the nozzle off. So I just get a paper towel and just wipe that clean and clean it off. Next one, I'm going to go kind of an upward angle, and I'll go back. So I went this way, come this way, and then I'll go back this way with another coat. But for now, I'm going to go a little bit upward because I'm not getting up under here very good. Do the same thing all the way around the other ones. I'm just going to keep doing this about every 15-20 minutes. So you don't wait for that to dry, like literally watching paint dry. All right, I don't know if it's going to show up for you very well. I can't tell on camera. I'm going to try to block out some of the glare here. But you can see a little bit right there, and right there there's some red from the logo showing through. And this is when I was saying, like, don't do real heavy coats. Light coats, multiple coats of coverage gets you what you need. Not heavy coats. The reason why, and this is me getting impatient, even though I said be patient. This is the classic do as I say, not as I do moment. I just got too heavy here. Like I saw some spritzing up there and got too thick. So what happens is it starts to re-wet the entire thing, and then gravity, because now there's so much material on there, gravity's pulling it away. So when I re-wet and it dissolves and blends all that material together, then it gets liquefied again, and it's starting to pull down away from that edge and exposing some of that red. So what I need to do is come back over this again with just a couple of really, like, otherwise it's good. It's about done. I've done about, what, 5 or 6 coats now. So one more coat would do it. The same thing, like I'm not getting down in there very well. So I'm gonna dust this a couple more times. I think the rest of them are done though. So this one I'm just gonna dust a couple times, see if I can get up into those cracks, and then we'll call it good. And then we'll wait about an hour to let it fully dry before we start peeling off. There, just that. That's it. At this point, I think I'm done. So we've got an hour to go here, and we'll start peeling that off, and that's fun. It's kind of like when you were a kid, you get glue on your hands, peel the glue off, peeling the stuff off. There's something oddly satisfying about it. You'll see. Okie doke. It is time to remove. We'll start peeling tape off here. I didn't get enough spray on the tape. I was so concerned about overspray. So the coverage at the tape line is thin, and so it's not quite peeling up. I want to get a little bit of a peeled edge. There we go. All right, made that shot. Now, I'm just going to get an edge started. This is why you want a little bit of an edge so that we have something to grab. There we go. I'm just going to start to peel off. How cool is that? Every time I do this, it makes me smile. Maybe that's why I do it so often. It's just fun. Several cars where I blacked out the badges. I wanted to do the Yukon, but there's so much chrome. Like, it was just, I don't know. Sometimes those little cracks like that, they don't to break off. Like I'm gonna try to see if I can get this to run down in there. It's pretty thin though. Like I probably could have put 3 or 4 more coats on. That would have made this easier. But it's gonna want to break off right at the top of that opening there. So I'm gonna try to be real careful with it. Get down into the nook. Ah, see, there it broke off. All right, I'll come back. Let's try it again on this one. It just gets so thin there that once it starts to stretch out, it doesn't hold. There's not enough strength to it. Yeah, that one didn't even come close. All right, they do make a tool that you can use. You can buy it. It's a couple bucks that goes with it, but I didn't buy it. You can just use a toothpick. The plastic ones do work a little better, so if you have like plastic toothpicks. The problem with the zip tie is it's almost too flexible. And it doesn't pull on it very good. There we go. So just kind of dig underneath. And sometimes, either between the glare and the material, the dark, undark, it can be hard to see. When you get these little, like this, you get this little bunched up spot right at the edge. That can be hard to get out. That's where that little tool comes in handy. Then you can just pick it out. Again, like I said, the more coats you put on, the easier this is, because the thicker this material is, and it's less likely to break. But it's also, at some point, you're just wasting. Right? You're purposely putting material on so that it's easier to take it back off. There's something kind of weird about that. Nice and easy. Come on. I know you want to. There you go. Now, this is buried on the inside, so we don't really have any choice here but to dig it out. I'm going to start from this end. Sometimes you can kind of pick at it as you pull too. That helps, but also it can cause it to prematurely break, like right there. I was really hoping that was going to run all the way down. They never do, but I always hope they do. These long runs like this, these long skinny grooves, these are the hardest part. You can see when it come around the outside edge, that was no big deal. And on some of the other smaller lettering, like the letters are small, so the gaps in the letters are not that big a deal, like they're only that long. So it's not that hard to get them out. You just don't want to get anything that's going to be too aggressive, because they'll scratch your paint, you know. There we go. And same here, these are so small. Well, I really should put more coats on. I put 6 coats on, but like 7 or 8 would have been better. Now, some will just leave it with the inside, but I've seen that too. I don't like that. It looks like it's been painted. I want it to look factory. Hey, there. See all the stuff that's on the inside here. I gotta dig out with something small and safe. All right, let's hit the LT badges on the other side. That one should go pretty smooth. This one doesn't have any little holes in it, so this should just peel off right around it. Cool beans. Now, you get a little bit of extra. Let's go over here. So just take a towel, nice clean microfiber towel, and you can just buff those right off. There, pretty clean. It's a clean look. That's pretty nice, right? I think it looks nice. It's not terribly difficult. It just takes a fair amount of patience, especially when you're trying to dig out of those small spaces. I've used PlastiDip a bunch, and I'm usually in that 5-6 coats of PlastiDip, and that's a good thick coat, and it peels really nice. This is thinner, and I probably would go 7 or 8 coats. It just feels weird wasting that much stuff, but there's still plenty left. I didn't even use half the can for all of the badges on the truck. If you're wanting to change the colors of something, and maybe it's, you know, maybe paint a different color, like maybe, you know, if you've got a blue truck, you want to go with red letters, I don't know, whatever, you know, like each their own. They have a bunch of different colors and different sheens. They have a flat, they have a satin, they have a gloss in most colors, just like paint. And it's relatively easy to do. And if you don't like it, you peel it back off and change the color or do it again or whatever you want to do. So this will hold up for quite a while. It does. My experience is after, you know, especially if you go through like an automated car wash, this stuff will rub off in the automated car washes. Anytime you got brushes coming around and hitting at a high speed, it's going to start to peel it off. So, and honestly, if you care this much about the look of your vehicle, you probably aren't taking it through a car wash anywhere. Or at least you shouldn't. You can get blacked out badges and not pay the $700-800. I don't know what different, like I think the GM package is somewhere around the $700 range. If you get any overspray, it rubs right off. So just get a towel and a little bit of detail spray for some lubricant, and you can just wipe it right off. If it gets real bad, if you have a lot of like real powdery overspray, then clay bar will take it off, and that works pretty good. Or you can just wash it real good and get a good scrub, and usually the thin stuff will just wipe right off. As always, hope you got something out of this. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.